Welcome. I'm excited to have you join me on the next 4 episodes as we dive into tips and strategies to successfully lose weight and, more importantly, to keep it off. I'm going to share information from a recent fat loss summit that I engaged in with over 20 experts in the fields of nutrition, weight loss, and functional medicine. And during the 29 years that I've been in practice, I have just seen so many people that engage in weight loss programs only to lose the weight and in time gain it back. So unfortunately, only a small percentage of people ever really maintain the weight that they've lost. So I want to make sure you are one of them. So in the next 4 episodes, we will be taking a look at the calorie reduction myth, how whole body inflammation and gut health significantly impact weight loss. We'll explore fats, carbs, sugars, hormones, exercise, and the mindset around weight loss. I'll be presenting new information that may be controversial, but is based in the experience of many experts and in the research. So hopefully we'll get you to start to think out of the box. Consistency is the key. Take it slow and small baby steps, one step at a time. As simplicity is the key here, because difficulty does not equal good. As you will discover, losing weight is not just about cutting calories and exercising more. It's a dynamic whole body process involving glands, organs, and systems. The goal is not just to lose weight and keep it off, but to increase the health and function of the body as a whole by giving it what it needs and removing what harms it. So keep your main focus on the process, not just the outcomes. A focused goal is important, but it's not a plan. You need a strategy, and by implementing the concepts and tips that I'm presenting in this next 4 episodes, you can transform your life. My goal is to help you transform from being a sugar burner to a fat burner, and along the way, losing weight, reprogramming habits, increasing energy and focus, decreasing insulin resistance and related risk of diabetes, and decreasing metabolic syndrome, which results in belly fat and a variety of chronic diseases over time, such as cancer, heart disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's. In the past several decades, we have been indoctrinated with the concept of fat phobia, myths around fats and cholesterol, and the conception that to lose weight, all you need to do is increase exercise and decrease calories. Recent science has debunked these myths and is moving in the opposite direction. It has turned its focus on not eating less, rather what you are eating. In fact, Harvard did an interesting study. They looked at 110,000 men and women, and what they found was an inverse relationship between calories consumed and body mass index. And as to exercise, experts say you can't overtrain or over-exercise a bad diet. In fact, as you will see in the exercise section, your cardio sections may actually be causing you to gain weight. Your body's weight set point is not about weight, it's about homeostasis. It's about whole body balance based on nutrition, movement, and proper nerve function that regulates and controls all body systems and physiological processes. We need to start with the understanding that the body is a dynamic system, constantly changing. When I was in school 30-some years ago, we were told the body replaced itself every 7 years. Then they went to 3 years. And now, Deepak Chopra, a medical endocrinologist, says that 98% of the atoms that make up the human body are new every 3 months. Therefore, you're basically a new you 4 times a year. Reflecting on this, we are constantly recreating ourselves, and the question becomes then, are we recreating ourselves in a healthy manner or in an unhealthy manner? And which way do you think most people in this country are going? The bottom line is that research is showing that nutrition is better than exercise for losing weight. The focus is on decreasing inflammation, healing the gut, and balancing hormones. It's not just about eating less. It is more about eating right. And although intense, long sessions of exercise have benefits, they can increase cortisol, which increases your hunger, causing you to eat more with the resulting weight gain. So this is obviously not a good strategy. We will discuss this more in the section on hormones. Unfortunately, we have become an addictive society when it comes to food. You know, manufacturers are adding chemicals into food, such as artificial sweeteners, excitotoxins, etc., to make them taste better. And these additives are, in reality, they hit the pleasure centers in the brain very hard and are at least equal to cocaine addiction. You're probably familiar with most of the artificial sweeteners like aspartame, which is NutraSweet, sucralose, which is Splenda, high fructose corn syrup. What a lot of us are not familiar with are excitotoxins, which are chemicals added to food to make them taste better. We're all familiar with MSG, or monosodium glutamate. And it's not a good thing to be ingesting. And due to this common knowledge, manufacturers now are producing MSG-like additives that people don't recognize on labels, such as yeast extract, hydrolyzed protein, natural flavoring, things like that, which are toxic to your nervous system and brain, according to Dr. Russell Blaylock, a board-certified neurosurgeon, author of Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills. You basically pay for that exceptional taste in foods, snacks, and desserts. The commercial that says, "I'll bet you can't eat just one," holds more truth than you realize. A more extensive list can be found on my website in the post that I did on MSG-like additives. That link for that website will be at the end of the video. And surprisingly, many of the common and popular diet programs that are out there have meals, snacks, and desserts that contain these unhealthy additives. I reviewed some of the more common and popular diet programs and found artificial sweeteners in most of the sweetened products and excitotoxins in almost all of the meals and snacks. These weight loss programs may be very effective in people losing weight, but they can basically also contain toxic elements that can be very unhealthy for you in the long run. So if you feel you absolutely need support from these types of programs to lose weight and get a quick jump start, by all means go ahead. But don't utilize them on a long-term basis or more of a maintenance type of situation. So in this episode, I will address some general guidelines to get started and form a foundation for sustainable weight loss by addressing some of the more critical elements, including transitioning from being a sugar burner for energy to a fat burner, and also reducing inflammation, healing the gut, and all of this leading to a better weight loss and long-term sustained maintenance. So let's get started with the sugar burner to fat burner process. The typical American eating habits basically have trained our bodies to be sugar burners for fuel, in which case we need to eat something almost every 2 to 4 hours. This is due to energy fluctuations. Protein and fat actually keep you in fuller longer, and fat burning reconditions the body to have a more sustained energy output, allowing you to go about 6 hours in between meals. This is because 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories and 1 gram of carbs and protein equal 4 calories. You can basically eat less and have more calories for longer sustained energy. The basic program to transition incorporates focusing on proteins and good fats for breakfast and having the carbs later in the day, plus including plenty of raw vegetables throughout the day. Examples of good fats are avocado, coconut, olive oils, or sesame oils, organic butter, nuts, especially macadamia nuts. The initial transition period may take a few weeks, and the first 3 to 4 days may be a little challenging as your body starts to retrain itself. Old habits are hard to break, but stick with it, as it will basically pay you dividends over time as to the health and well-being. Usually the first couple days are the hardest, and you may experience some hunger and cravings. Usually by the 3rd day, your system will start to readjust and the cravings and the hunger will minimize. To get you through this time, some ideas for snacks would be celery with almond butter, hummus, or organic cream cheese. You can do nuts, seeds, and berries. Not a candy bar, a cappuccino, a muffin, or a bag of chips. Some experts say that intermittent fasting can also accelerate you into the fat-burning stage. This can be accomplished by combining breakfast and lunch for a brunch later in the morning, plus dinner at night. Therefore, 2 meals of high-density foods. This will provide a mini-fast between your last meal at night and the brunch. So you'll have about 12 hours in between, which provides that fasting type of situation for your body. The only reason they really need to have carbohydrates at breakfast is because we're sugar burners, and we need that pump and then try to get us through the morning. So why do you hear so much about starting the day with a big breakfast and eating multiple small meals throughout the day? It's because most of us are sugar burners. High quality fats and proteins satiate your body, keeping you fuller, resulting in more longer term sustained energy and reducing the need for a pick-me-up in the middle of the morning, which usually contains sugar which spikes your sugar burning cycle and energy up and down. So an example for breakfast, you might try a shake made with good high quality protein powder and almond milk. Add some organic butter or coconut oil, turmeric for inflammation. And if you are a coffee drinker, you could add a little coffee into it and blend it all up. Eggs are also a great source of protein. They're a complete protein. Forget the cholesterol myth and either hard boil or fry scramble in coconut oil, olive oil, or organic butter. Actually, coconut oil is the best because it handles higher heat better and doesn't break down as fast. So don't forget that drinking more water has been shown to decrease your appetite with resulting weight loss over time because you're not eating as much. Benefits include, besides the weight loss, include you increasing your energy, you'll think more clearly, lymph will flow better, your blood will run better, you'll feel better, and your joints will work better. So a lot of great benefits for that. So fill up a 64-ounce container in the morning and don't stop until it's done throughout the day. You also want to get some good sleep. So what does sleep have to do with weight loss? If we are not rested and are tired the next day, we tend to rely on sugary snacks or stimulants to get us pumped up for the day's activities. This can definitely be counterproductive to our weight loss efforts. Here are some suggestions. Turn the TV off 30 minutes prior to going to bed. Read until you're tired. Use blackout shades and reduce electromagnetic fields as they increase cortisol release, which may prevent you from getting a restful sleep. Basically, electromagnetic fields are things like Wi-Fi's, your cell phones, clock radios, things like that. You want to get them across the room away from your head. The reason for this is that cortisol, when it's released, it stimulates you to get you going. So you want to do it in the morning, not at night, because if you get cortisol released during the night, it can wake you up and you don't get a good restful sleep. Cortisol and insulin actually have a inverse relationship, meaning that carbs at night increase the insulin, which decreases the cortisol, enabling a more restful sleep. When we talk about inflammation, we're talking about whole body inflammation, which is very common today, and it's a huge issue as to getting rid of that bulge around the waist. Most of us view inflammation as swelling and pain that accompanies injuries due to, the pain and inflammation that's due to degenerative joint arthritis. The inflammation that we are going to discuss here is whole body inflammation, which is chronic, imperceptible, other than the resulting body fat, and it leads to metabolic syndrome, which is associated with chronic diseases, as I said earlier, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, and Alzheimer's, just to name a few. So not a good, healthy thing. As to weight loss, inflammation puts metabolism in lockdown mode by putting on the brakes and potentially moving you into survival mode, which causes a storing of fat and decreased metabolism, leading to increased weight gain. So most inflammation begins in the gut, surprisingly, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. But consider this. Every spoonful that you put in your mouth is either inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. And for a list of foods that are inflammatory and anti-inflammatory, again, go to my website, put inflammatory and non-inflammatory foods into the search box, and it'll pull up a post that I did. So keep in mind that some inflammatory foods are actually healthy, so it's not about limiting them altogether. You just want to shift the ratio of your eating patterns more into the anti-inflammatory foods over time. So what are natural ways to decrease inflammation? The baseline on this is to simply decrease sugars, artificial sweeteners, excitotoxins, and other food additives that irritate the gut lining and cause the inflammation in the first place. And then you want to increase your high quality proteins, healthy fats. As another way to decrease inflammation and related cardiovascular risk by up to almost like 70%. Some experts are recommending eating cold water fish 4 times a week, or supplement with a high quality fish oil, which are omega-3s, a pound of vegetables a day of 5 colors, so more of a rainbow type of an effect, so you get multiple different elements, vitamins, minerals, and cofactors in the different colors, okay? And a cup of raw almonds, a teaspoon of garlic, and 5 ounces of red wine and some dark chocolate. So see, wine and chocolate. Losing weight doesn't have to be boring. So some of the highest anti-inflammatory foods are what are called polyphenols, which are found especially in berries. Studies show that In addition to reducing inflammation, a couple of blueberries every day for several years will actually reduce your cognitive decline by something like 11 years. So that's huge. Then you have omega-3s in fish oil and proteolytic enzyme supplements. Proteolytic enzymes are proteases which attach to inflammatory mediators and regulate them. So it's nice to have that getting controlled. As a side note, they have also been shown to help with fibroids, so if you have any issues with that. Be sure to take these proteolytic enzymes on an empty stomach because you don't want them to be used up on the proteins that you've eaten in your meal. And finally, the spiced turmeric is recommended on a daily basis, and it is very highly anti-inflammatory. That's why I was recommending earlier to put it in a shake for a morning breakfast. Here's a great little recipe for a turmeric and ginger lemonade. You take a half a teaspoon of turmeric, slice of ginger, you pour some hot water over it and let it sit for just a little bit. The juice of a lemon, sweeten with some stevia, and let it sit for about 5 minutes and drink hot, or you can put some ice in it and drink it cold. And another drink that's really kind of more of a morning drink that's really good is take some almond milk and half a teaspoon of turmeric, sweeten with some stevia or honey, and add some cinnamon or black pepper. Again, makes a really nice little morning drink. Vitamin D is also a major regulator of inflammation in the body. And unfortunately, when you take a drug to block inflammation, like when you're in pain, it also blocks vitamin D. Therefore, the whole thing is counterproductive. Furthermore, decreased vitamin D leads to increased immune cell release, which can lead to autoimmune reactions and associated increased inflammation. We find that sunscreens cause a major problem in this respect, as they can block the sun's rays that are a primary source of activation of vitamin D in the body. And I will discuss this in a little bit more detail in a future episode. Then we move on to gut health. Gut is primarily your small and large intestines for our conversation. This is where the good foods that you have eaten are broken down and absorbed, and it is also responsible for keeping the substance out of the bloodstream that the body doesn't like. Surprisingly, the gut has significant effect on hormones, weight loss, and weight gain over time. The old saying, "You are what you eat," should be, "You are what you digest and absorb." Another reason that the gut is so important is that it is the second largest area of nerve endings in the body. It is called the enteric nervous system, or the second brain. And that's because the gut communicates with the brain and the rest of the body. In particular, it affects the hypothalamus in the brain, which regulates hormones and has a significant effect on weight gain and loss. It is a key center for regulating appetite and cravings. Two primary mediators that are released from the gut that affect the hypothalamus are leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is a hormone that makes you feel full, and ghrelin stimulates hunger. These can be interfered with due to problems with the gut. In an interesting study, mice were genetically engineered without leptin, and what happened was they sat at the food trough and didn't stop eating until the food was totally removed, obviously becoming obese over time. Hopefully you start to get the impression that the body is a system of systems, not individual isolated organs, glands, and tissues. For instance, the pancreas just doesn't do its thing, and the same with the gallbladder, heart, liver, lungs, etc. In fact, they say there are over 3 trillion bytes of information a second that travel over the nervous system, directing and controlling all body processes. What are all these signals? Basically, they're these body parts talking to each other, trying to maintain balance within the systems and what is called homeostasis. It is interesting to note that out of this 3 trillion bytes, only 50 bytes ever reach the conscious brain, and what you can actually be aware of. This is why you can have significant imbalance in the body's systems and not actually feel them developing, or these problems developing over time. Also, secondary to the skin, the gut is exposed to things from outside of us. Your gut keeps the bad things out of the bloodstream, as I said earlier, and And foods that negatively impact this process includes, in particular, grains which have gluten in them, dairy because of the casein, pre-digested dairy is okay, like kefir. Then we have sugar because of the inflammatory reactions due to they feed the wrong types of microbes in the gut. And then toxic foods such as artificial sweeteners, excitotoxins, pesticides, herbicides, and glyphosate. A problem is that the glyphosate can't be washed off, and you ingest it anytime you eat products that come from the seeds that have been genetically modified. Irritants to the gut lining, such as those listed above, cause inflammation in the wall of the small intestine, which contains what are called tight junctions. These tight junctions form a sort of a net that prevents inappropriate substances from entering the bloodstream. When you have irritants that cause inflammation and damage this system, it forms holes in the net, and this leads to larger molecules such as undigested proteins, bacteria, and toxins to leak through and get into the bloodstream, which go systemic throughout the whole body and causing problems in other parts of the body. The result is what is called leaky gut syndrome. Healing leaky gut can have a significant impact on decreasing inflammation. Suggestions would be vitamin D, turmeric, omega-3 fatty acids from fish oils. Colostrum is also really good, and coconut oil, foods full of microbes such as broad-spectrum probiotics, kimchi, kefir, sauerkraut, and cultured vegetables as a general category. I've got a great little discussion on cultured vegetables and a basic recipe on my website. Again, just go there and in the search bar put in cultured vegetables. Obviously, prevention would be the ideal thing with leaky gut, because we need to remove the irritants that cause the problem in the first place and try to prevent them from reoccurring. Bone broth can also be very beneficial in healing the gut. It is loaded with amino acids such as proline, which is important for tissue healing. You can purchase it on the web, or you can make your own with organic chicken or beef bones. Put them in a crock pot with some water and a little apple cider vinegar to pull out the minerals. Add some rosemary, thyme, carrots, celery, whatever suits your taste, some sea salt. And then you let it sit for about an hour so that the vinegar can leach the minerals out of the bone. Then you cover and simmer for 24 to 72 hours. Recapping this episode, as we said earlier, your body is a dynamic system and is constantly changing. That puts you in control. Increasing your quality of food choices and timing leads to switching from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. It helps decrease inflammation in the brain and the gut. It recalibrates the hormone levels and allows healing in the gut, leading to the body starting to regulate around your body's true metabolic set point. More importantly, remember to start slow and don't get overwhelmed. Take it in small baby steps, thereby creating consistent successes and in time empowering yourself to make positive, healthy choices a habit. Start by adding in healthy choices rather than taking away the unhealthy ones initially. Taking away things that have been very pleasurable over time can be negatively reinforcing. And as you slowly start to incorporate the good habits, empowering yourself to make those positive choices, you can start to drop away the old bad habits over time. If this information has been helpful, please like us and share the information with other people so that they can gain awareness on how they can also lose weight, keep it off, and improve their overall health over time. In part 2, we'll take a look at concepts around fats, carbs, and sugars. So with this increased awareness, you just need to get committed, take action, and you can transform your life today. Thanks for joining me.